Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Explainer. Let's just dive right in, because today's breakdown is designed specifically for all you experienced AI builders out there. If you've been tinkering with AI over the last year, you already know the landscape is shifting at literally lightning speed. And honestly, you also know the absolute nightmare of relying on casual text prompts. I mean, picture this. You spend days perfecting this master prompt, right? It works beautifully on GPT-4. Then, the model updates to GPT-4o, or you try swapping it out for Claude or Llama, and suddenly, bam, your entire application falls apart. The output completely breaks. Why? Because you relied on fragile conversational instructions rather than engineered constraints. It is an incredibly frustrating way to build software. But great news, we're finally moving away from that era of casual AI experimentation. We're jumping headfirst into a brand new era of rigorous, specification-driven development. Today, we're unpacking the source material behind an intensive methodology that completely changes how we build with artificial intelligence. We're going to explore the strict specifications behind agentic systems and see exactly how to elevate your workflow to a true CI/CD production standard. But to really understand where we're going, we first need to look at what we are leaving behind.
Section 1. Beyond ad hoc prompting.
So, there's a really stark contrast between how hobbyists interact with AI and how engineers do. Ad hoc prompting? That's the amateur way. It's super casual and, let's face it, highly unpredictable. When you use ad hoc prompts, you're constantly battling context window degradation, token limit issues, and all those implicit assumptions the model makes about your instructions. You're essentially crossing your fingers, hoping the AI understands your intent every single time it runs. And if just one single variable changes, the whole system breaks. In stark contrast, we have specification-driven development. This is the new professional standard. It's structured, it's reliable, and it treats AI not as some magic 8-ball, but as a core software component that requires clear, rigorous boundaries. It's all about replacing guesswork with absolute certainty. You're moving from just asking an AI for a favor to writing a hard contract that the AI is programmatically forced to fulfill. So you're probably wondering, how do we actually bridge this gap? How do we get from crossing our fingers to engineering reliable systems?
Section 2. Markdown as specifications.
This is where the methodology gets incredibly practical and honestly brilliant. The source material outlines using simple markdown files, specifically files named agent.md and skill.md, as strict specifications for AI agents. Now, as an experienced builder, you might be wondering, why markdown, right? Why not JSON or some dense XML schema? Well, the technical insight here is that large language models are heavily trained on vast repositories of markdown data. We're talking primarily about GitHub READMEs and documentation. And because of all this training data, LLMs just inherently understand the structural hierarchy of markdown. They process a # header, a bulleted list, or bolded text with incredible token efficiency. They parse this hierarchy far better than they parse a dense, unformatted paragraph of prompt text. So by defining the agent's core identity, its operational constraints, and its exact skills right there in these .md files, we give the AI a hard, syntactically clear boundary. It's version controllable, easily readable by human developers, and perfectly parsed by machine models. It creates a really robust contract of behavior. And once you have these specifications locked in, well, that's when the fun really begins and we enter the intensive execution phase.
Section 3. Delivering production-grade software.
The execution phase requires a very precise life cycle to take your AI project from just an initial idea all the way to a fully shipped release. Let's walk through it. Step 1 is the plan phase. This is where your agent.md and skill.md files are drafted and debated by your engineering team. Then, step 2 is delegate. Now, you aren't just sending a chat message anymore. You're delegating tasks to an autonomous agentic system that operates exclusively within the markdown specifications you just laid out. Next up is step 3, quality assure. And for experienced builders, this is where it gets highly technical. You aren't just eyeballing the results anymore. You're implementing automated frameworks, often using LLM as a judge techniques to automatically evaluate the agent's output against the constraints defined in your skill.md file before it ever moves forward. Finally, step 4 is the shipped release. This entire flow fundamentally shifts you from being a passive AI user to a real AI manager, delegating work to agents the exact same way you would manage a human engineering team.
But look, a shipped release doesn't actually mean anything if it causes a catastrophic failure out in the wild, right? Elevating AI-built software to a true production standard requires specific traditional engineering practices, seamlessly integrated right into your agentic workflow. So we're adding rigorous testing, In this context, that means unit testing your agent. You're passing edge case inputs into the system and asserting that the agent's output strictly matches the JSON schema and the constraints defined in your Markdown spec. We're also adding code review, where human oversight or even secondary validator agents validate the logic of the primary agent. And finally, production deployment pipelines. You are treating the AI's output with the exact same scrutiny, automated testing, and discipline as you would a human developer's pull request.
The overarching mandate from the source material is to ship reliable production-grade software. And I really cannot emphasize those two words enough: reliable and production-grade. We aren't building weekend hackathon toys here. An enterprise application simply cannot afford to have a whimsical AI that behaves completely differently on a Friday evening than it does on a Monday morning. That just doesn't work. By utilizing strict Markdown specifications and enforcing CI/CD testing pipelines, you eliminate those hallucinated variations. You are building robust, deterministic tools that businesses can actually stake their reputation on. Getting to this level, however, requires a completely different mindset from you, the builder.
Section 4. Advancing AI literacy. This methodology fundamentally builds your core competencies and truly advances your AI literacy. You see, most people start out in the use and apply domain. That involves using a basic chat interface, maybe applying generalized prompts to summarize a PDF, or just having the AI write an email for you. It's very surface-level interaction. But the specification-driven approach we're talking about today, it forces you entirely into the evaluate and create domain. You're no longer just using a tool. You're evaluating the systemic performance of an agent across thousands of automated runs. You are creating the hard boundaries, defining the specific skills, and building the resilient infrastructure that the AI absolutely needs to operate autonomously and, most importantly, safely.
So to truly master that evaluate and create domain, AI literacy in this context demands a heavy emphasis on 4 key pillars. First, you must master specifications, meticulously crafting those agent and skill markdown files for maximum token efficiency. Second, you've got to implement strict quality gates so that any hallucinated or non-compliant outputs are programmatically blocked way before they ever reach the user. Third, you must maintain rigorous testing frameworks. And above all, fourth, you must practice responsible production. Now, for an experienced builder, responsible production means implementing concrete technical safeguards. It means setting up strict API rate limiting so an agent doesn't accidentally bankrupt you in some infinite loop. It means configuring fallback deterministic models if the primary agent fails. And it means ensuring there is solid human-in-the-loop validation for any high-stakes, irreversible agent actions.
As we wrap up, I really want you to take a hard look at your current workflow and ask yourself a serious question. Are you just prompting, or are you building production-grade agents? Think about it. If your AI system completely breaks down because you changed a single word in a prompt or because a model provider pushed some minor update, well, it's time to graduate. It's time to graduate to agent.md and skill.md. It is time to stop playing around with text boxes and start building with rigorous specifications, automated testing, and treating AI with the exact same engineering discipline as the rest of your software stack. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take these core concepts and start engineering them into your next major build.